Brighton versus Luton. Luton finally play their first ever Premier League match in the club's history, and it's the first time I get to witness Luton Town play in the top division in my lifetime. I am super excited for this one. I've been counting down the days, and literally tomorrow we will get to see Brighton play against Luton. I'm super excited for this one. Before I dig deep into my thoughts about this game, guys, can we please drop a like on today's video? The more likes we get on these videos, the better the video does. It reaches out to a much wider audience. Comment below your thoughts about this game against Brighton. If you are a Brighton fan watching this video, please let me know your thoughts. And then if you are another fan from another club, please let me know your thoughts on how you think this game is going to plan out. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. It is free to do so. I really am looking forward to seeing how much this channel can grow throughout the whole course of the Premier League season. And if you are on TikTok and you do go on Discord as well, my links are in the description below. So Brighton versus Luton. Luton's first Premier League game is against Brighton away from home. It is a tough one. There's no denying that. Brighton, after the couple of seasons they've had in the Premier League, you know, years ago you probably would have looked at this game and thinking, yeah, it's not as hard as it sounds. But with the way Brighton have been, especially over the last 2 years, they have been a real force, and they are a team now that's playing in European football. Who would have thought that years ago? I think even Brighton fans must be thinking, God, how have we managed to get here? But, you know, it's what happens where you are run correctly, and Luton and Brighton have a lot of similarities in that department. Luton are run correctly, Brighton are run correctly, and if Luton want to get to where Brighton are, we just got to follow Brighton's footsteps, and they are a club that we can, you know, aspire to be. And, you know, they are a proven concept of improving in all departments, and you climb up that Premier League table. I do strongly believe that the clubs that are run correctly, despite the money that's involved in football, are going to be the ones that will slowly get above all these Premier League sides that think that money's the answer. Money gets you a certain way, but smart planning and, you know, proper research and making the correct decisions will overpower that money eventually. So yeah, Luton, if we're going to follow anyone, it has to be Brighton. But let's actually talk about this game. Let's look at our team which we're playing against. Brighton, who are their key players? You know, Mitoma had a great season last year. Solly March as well, he was fantastic. Ferguson, the young lad, the striker, the Irish lad, who, you know, he's just broken onto the scene. He looks really good, and someone who I believe could, you know, under the right coaching, which he does have, will become a really good player in the future. And then you look at the signings they made, you know, Pedro, unfortunately we do have to mention him. Every Luton fan knows what Pedro can do, unfortunately. Try and keep him quiet. And then you've got James Milner, Premier League experience, a born winner, been there and done it, won it all. You know, to have him in the team is, you know, so important. So, you know, Brighton are pretty much, despite losing some key players in the summer with Sanchez and McAllister, they've still got a good side. Managed to keep hold of Cancedo as well, who's, you know, Brighton want big money, and fair play. You know, if you do the scouting and you find these like hidden gems, then too right, if they do really well in the Premier League, you've got, and have them on a long deal contract. Do not get pushed over by these Premier League clubs and, you know, accept a low bid. If he's worth 100 million in your eyes, then get the 100 million. So I do back Brighton there, and fair play for them for making those correct decisions. How do Brighton play? Well, if you've been living under a rock recently, Brighton's style of football has been absolutely incredible. It's a joy to watch. Even under Graham Potter, I still enjoyed watching the way Brighton were playing. It was really nice to see, you know, the style of football, the passing, the way they would do the 3v4s scenarios. It was fantastic to watch. And, you know, and I feel like even though Graham Potter left to go to Chelsea, the current boss, I can't pronounce his name properly, it's Senebri. Oh, I proper butchered that name. But, you know, the current boss now, I didn't really know much about him before he came to the Premier League. I knew he did well in Italy, and then his time in Ukraine was obviously cut short a little bit because of what's going on over there. But the style of football he's implemented, because he's such a young-minded coach, you know, he's willing to take risk. It is like on the level of Pep Guardiola's style of football, and it is great to see. They set up in a 4-2-3-1 formation. We're probably going to be setting up as wing backs, as we've done throughout the whole of pre-season. I'll be absolutely gobsmacked if we do change the system ahead of this game. And when they are in possession, the system it changes to a 2-4-4. Now, if you're an old school, football fan, you're thinking, what the hell am I going on about? 2-4-4, Lewis, what are you talking? Honestly, teams now, when they set up in formations, they have like a set standard one, but then in possession, they're different. It completely changes, and then out of possession, it completely changes. But it mainly starts off with a 4-2-3-1, but then in possession, it will completely change. When they have possession, Brighton, it is literally a 2-4-4. They push their fullbacks so high forward. Everyone literally pushes forward. And even their number 10 becomes a striker, like a shadow type of striker. So literally everyone pushes forward. And then when they eventually get into the opposition half, it gets even more. It turns into a 2-2-6. I know what you're thinking. What the hell am I saying? But yeah, honestly, they push players so far forward just to create certain scenarios on the pitch. And what they're trying to create is these 4v3s, 5v3 scenarios where they can gang up on certain areas of the pitch and basically pass the ball around you. And that's simply what it is. It's pass and move, get those movements in, get those triangles in, and it literally causes so many teams problems. And that's why Brighton creates so many chances, and that's why they've won so many games recently, especially in the last 2 years. And that's what they're going to be planning on doing in this game against us. And we have to be wary of it. How do we counter that? Well, the only way I can see us ever beating Brighton this weekend is by counter-attacking football. If you watch the game which Everton beat them 5-1 at Brighton, Everton, what did they do correctly? They were good at counter-attacking football. Now, Everton were not known to scoring lots of goals last year, but what did they do really well in this game, and what was the game plan? Counter-attacking football, and they ended up scoring 5 goals. That's what we've kind of have to replicate. Now, in that game, Everton actually only had like 25% possession. So we're probably looking at similar numbers, if I'm being honest with you. I can't see us keeping the ball, and if we do have the ball, we need to make the most of it and use it to our advantage. I think set pieces, throughout the whole season, that's going to be a good advantage for us. I think we are going to be quite direct. We're going to be quite physical as well. But I do think Brighton can, combat that in a way, with Webster and Dunk being their centre-half partnership. So I don't think, the physical side of things is going to be too much for Brighton to handle. But I think the counter-attacking, we do have a bit of pace, we do have that bit of quality. I can definitely see us using that. I think Brighton in this game are also going to target down on the left-hand side, with Mitoma and, is it Espenan? How do you say his name? Espenan, the left-back, who's also really good. I'm really awful with names, I do apologise. But you've got a really attacking left-back, and you've got a really good left-winger in Mitoma. They're going to be targeting Kapore. Now, Kapore is our right-sided wing-back who's going to have a bit of pace about him, a bit of energy about him. So, luckily, because he's got that pace, he can probably keep up with Mitoma. But Mitoma's dribbling ability is just incredible, and it's something that, Kapore needs to watch out for. But also, the right-sided centre-half, which I think it's going to be Mans Andersen in this game, needs to be able to, help him, actually, and just, support him whenever he needs to. But if I'm being honest, I feel like our attacking side of things will be down our left-hand side as well. I think it's either going to be Doherty or Giles as the left-sided wing-back, and who's going to cause so many problems. And then you've got Morris, you've got Chong, you've got Pelly, that energy in the midfield with Nakamba just in behind. So yeah, that's the way I see us setting up in this game. So yeah, if I was to predict our starting 11, Luton starting 11, I'm going to go with, obviously, Kaminski in goal. Right-sided wing-back would be Kapore. I think we are going to play with the 5 at the back system, which will then mean Mans Andersen would be the centre-half, Tom Lockyer, and also Amari Bell. Amari Bell has got the bit of pace about him on the left-hand side. That's why I think we are going to target the left-hand side rather than the right, because of how good Brighton's left-hand side is. And then obviously with Jarvis play, I reckon it's going to be Jarvis over Alfie as the left-sided wing-back, because Jarvis is set pieces. And then in the midfield, I think it's going to be Nakamba, and then I think it's going to be Chong and also Pelly sitting in front of Nakamba. I think Luke Berry just misses out, but I do think Luke Berry will come on and have an impact. And then the 2 strikers, I think it's going to be Morris and Elijah. But then, we've got all these players coming in now. There's competition. We've got plenty of energy on the bench. players are here to prove a point, and I'm really excited to see what could potentially happen. How do I think the game's going to plan out? I do think it's going to end in a draw. I hope it ends in a draw. I would take a draw. I think a draw would feel like a win away against Brighton because of how good they are. I think the quicker we get a goal in the Premier League and the quicker we get a point, the pressure of us getting that goes completely off. If we lose 3-0 or whatever happens in this game, you know, we then have to wait 2 more weeks to play our next game because of the postponement of Burnley. So then we have to play, you know, West Ham at home. We don't want that pressure of we haven't got a point yet, we haven't scored yet. And I feel like if we can get rid of that in the first game of the season, it goes in our favour a little bit. So yeah, those are my thoughts, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section of the video. Do think it's going to be a really good game. I feel like Luton will score the first goal, and then Brighton, because of how good they are going forward, will then just pile on that attack. Could be a good opportunity for us to get that second if we could, but you know, let's see how this plans out. You know, I've got high hopes that we could get something. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll see you all in the match reaction, which I'll do after the game against Brighton.